Disney Pixar is undoubtedly the biggest creator of animated movies and cartoons in the world. But would you believe me if I told you that one of their best movies might actually be a blatant copy? Inside Out. Brain Divided. Well, if you were born in this century, you definitely know that Inside Out, released in 2015, is one of Disney's biggest hits in recent years. And Inside Out 2 only proved that the legion of fans of this masterpiece has been growing over the years. But what if I told you that an animation released in 2013, 2 years before Inside Out, has almost everything that Pixar's film has? Would you believe it? The animation tells the story of a guy on a date, and we are taken inside his mind, where two little beings representing reason and emotion, who look a lot like the emotions from Inside Out, operate a control panel and see everything through the guy's eyes. This is definitely very similar to the movie about Rouille and her emotions. The thing is, this animation, called Divided Mind, is only 5 minutes long, so it's not a full movie. But for example, the scenes where we are taken inside people's minds are very similar to what happens in Inside Out as well. So it really makes you wonder if Disney might have been inspired by this short film to come up with some ideas and end up creating one of its best animations of all time. And of course, they're going to deny it forever, but you never know, right? Check out all the times Disney might have copied another film that you probably never noticed. Coco. The Book of Life. Anyone who watched Coco and followed Miguel's story definitely enjoyed the film released by Disney Pixar in 2017. The story is set in Mexico, features several amazing songs, and is entirely related to one of the country's most important holidays, the Day of the Dead. The thing is, after many people watched the movie and some time passed, a lot of them realized that there was actually a movie released 3 years earlier with a different story, but a lot in common with Coco. Called The Book of Life, the movie by 20th Century Fox, which was soon after acquired by Disney, tells the story of Manolo, who also plays the guitar very well and, like Miguel, visits the land of the dead in a very Mexican style. So it's pretty clear that Disney once again took a great idea and made it even better.
Hola, Miguel. Hola.
Toy Story. Star Wars. Disney didn't just copy entire movies, they also drew inspiration from some of cinema's most iconic scenes to create hilarious moments in their films. One of the coolest references happens in Toy Story 2. This is the movie where several Buzz Lightyear figures come out of their boxes, and one of them has a showdown with Buzz's arch-nemesis, Zurg. The villain then tells Buzz to surrender, but the hero says he'll never do that because Zurg killed his father.
You killed my father!
Then Zurg reveals that he is Buzz's father.
I am your father.
This is a clear nod to the iconic Star Wars scene where Luke Skywalker faces Darth Vader, and the villain reveals that he is actually Luke's father.
I am your father.
I don't know about you, but I laughed a lot when I saw this scene because it instantly reminded me of Star Wars. Toy Story is just too good. If you agree with us, comment below #Buzz in honor of the most famous Space Ranger toy of all time, the Wild. Madagascar. In this list, you'll certainly notice that Disney often copied and sometimes even improved upon its competitors' work, like they did with Inside Out, as we just discussed. But that doesn't apply to every film we're discussing here. Without a doubt, Disney's poorest attempt at imitation is The Wild, released in 2006. This animation is so lackluster that you might be wondering, what film is this? Well, it's about a group of animals living in a New York City zoo who embark on a very special adventure. Among them is a lion as the main character and a somewhat timid giraffe. Yes, it seems like I just described the entire plot of Madagascar, one of Disney's biggest competitors and a franchise that started a year earlier in 2004, right? With Alex and Melman as two of its main characters, because that's basically what it is. Wild is a much more inferior copy of Madagascar, which itself was a hit and spawned 2 sequels, while Disney's film is nearly forgotten. And those who do remember it don't speak highly of it. Have you seen this Disney imitation? Zootopia, The Godfather. If you're into Disney movies, you've probably seen and are a fan of Zootopia. You might also remember Mr. Big, that tiny rodent who's the most feared animal in all of Tundra Town. If your parents and grandparents haven't told you, you might not know that Mr. Big is nothing less than a copy of the greatest mobster in cinema history, Don Corleone from The Godfather, the Italian mafia boss who rules the underworld. In fact, if you recall, when Nick and Judy meet the little boss, he's at his daughter Frou Frou's wedding wearing a suit with a red flower on his chest. That's exactly how Don Corleone is dressed in the beginning of the first Godfather film, and also at his daughter's wedding. This is definitely a copy that turned out very well. Cars. Susie, would you believe me if I told you that Disney has even copied other movies, including its own? Well, it's true. If you think Cars and Lightning McQueen are the first cars with their own lives to have their story told in the world of animation, then you haven't heard of Susie, the little blue coupe. The animation released in 1952 by Disney itself tells the story of a blue female car bought by a man who treats her well, but eventually abandons her as she becomes old and outdated. The way cars and vehicles are depicted in this short film is remarkably similar to what we see in Cars 1, 2, and 3, where windshields serve as eyes and hoods as mouths. So it's safe to say Pixar drew considerable inspiration from this Disney short from the 1950s to create one of the most incredible and imaginative film franchises of all time. If you've made it this far into the video, you must be like us, enjoying cartoons and animated films. So don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel here because we have new videos every day. Toy Story: Jurassic Park. It seems Toy Story 2 is an animation that decided to draw inspiration from several iconic scenes to create its film. You probably know that the Jurassic World movies released in recent years depicting a park on an island inhabited by genetically created dinosaurs as attractions for the general public. What you may not know, depending on your age, is that many years ago, this film franchise started with the famous Jurassic Park. Now, regarding Toy Story 2, you might not realize that the scene where Mr. Potato Head looks in the rearview mirror of Barbie's car and sees Rex chasing them is a perfect replica, but with toys, of the most famous scene from Jurassic Park, where the film's protagonists are fleeing from a Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing their Jeep.
Come on! Slow down! Dinosaur overboard!
The Lion King, Kimba. Some have seen the original Lion King film released in 1994, and others have seen the 2019 live-action version. But in both cases, everyone was moved. After all, Mufasa dies in both. So if you're also a fan of The Lion King, you might not like to hear that the film's story was likely inspired by a manga turned anime from Japan called Kimba the White Lion. And if you don't believe it, just take a moment to consider how similar the names Kimba and Simba are. It's hard not to start thinking that there's something remarkably similar between the two works. In both, two orphan lion cubs who are heirs to a wild kingdom are the protagonists and must prove their strength. Certainly, the stories bear a striking resemblance, but this is one of those cases where Disney undoubtedly took a good idea and turned it into something truly, truly great. After all, The Lion King is unquestionably one of Disney's best films. And it's so good that we'll soon have a film about Mufasa too. Ratatouille, Rocky. To wrap up our scenes from classic, historic, and very good movies, we can't forget to mention the reference to the boxing film that changed how Hollywood views fighter movies, Rocky. What's even funnier is that Disney decided to reference this iconic character in a film that's completely unrelated, but all about cooking, Ratatouille. When Remy is in the kitchen with his rat friends at Gusteau's restaurant, we see a big, strong rat tenderizing a piece of meat with its paws, just like a boxer. This scene is a nod to the iconic moment in Rocky, where Rocky, unable to afford training in a fancy gym, uses sides of beef in a meat locker to practice boxing before his big final fight. It's definitely a cool reference, especially for those who enjoy good old movies like me and the folks at Pixar. And since I know you also enjoy good movies and videos, we've picked out two really good videos for you to watch and enjoy right now, if you like. Trust me, both are really good. Watch them and then come back here to let me know which one you liked best. Thanks, and see you next time.